We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our ever-growing channel. Smash the like button. If you like our content, share the video with your family and friends. If you want to support this channel, this Rebel Outpost College Football channel, with a donation, hit the $ with a comment, and we'll get to your super chat as soon as possible. Welcome in. Welcome in, everybody, into the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid, PATC community. Do not be afraid to be a legend in the chat room and with your phone calls later in the show. Pandora's box been open. Now, we know this. We all know this. College football is going pear-shaped. There is no guardrails. There is a great article that was written on On3. We're going to read it. Pandora's box. The coaches, it's an untenable schedule, an untenable calendar. Free agency opens up the moment the season starts. It's nuts. We've been talking about this since episode 1. Episode 1, that was our manifesto. Hey, Greg Sankey, give me a call. Give the fat guy from Minnesota a phone call. Big Ten don't talk to me. Big Ten still upset with me. Give me a call, Sankey. You got to get on the right side of history. You got to start this thing going. There needs to be contracts. There needs to be binding contracts between the student athletes and the schools or the conference. There's got to be a collective bargaining agreement. The student athletes have to be protected. The game has to be protected. And the college football fan has to be protected. And if you don't do it, these coaches, they're going to get out of the business. I mean, we're also going to be talking about the ACC for week one. Week one games are listed. They've been released. We said we would cover it in a live show tomorrow. There's going to be the Thursday night, Friday night games are going to be released. And Wednesday, the ACC is going to be releasing the whole schedule for all the teams. There's a lot going on this week. Not just releasing of the schedules, but there's some meetings going on. Before we get to that, so we've got a whole lot to cover. Expedition Greg, thank you so much for your super chat. I appreciate it. I feel a PATC watch party coming on August 29th. Opening night for North Carolina at Minnesota. Thank you so much for the PA. Thank you so much for the super chat, your generosity once again, Expedition Greg. Yeah, we knew about this game for a while because the Minnesota always opens up on a Thursday night. That's been their tradition for a long time. And we knew that they were going to play North Carolina. It was scheduled. So yeah, that's a happening. That is a happening. North Carolina at Minnesota, thank goodness. Drake May is not going to be the quarterback because he killed us last year. Okay, thank you so much for your super chat. I appreciate it. Robbie Heck Music. New member, new early peak cloak and dagger member. Thank you so very much. Holy smokes. You, sir, Robbie Heck Music, you are cloak and dagger knighted. Thank you for becoming a member. Thank you for your generosity. I thank you so very much, Robbie Heck Music. Holy smokes. There is a new early peak member. Thanks for coming on in. Man, we got a lot to cover. This is going to be a busy week. I was just talking to the moderator, Mireya Hernandez Garcia Flugar, the one who rules with an iron fist, and I was telling her, we got to do a live show tonight. Even though they will no big news are popping, if this week's going to be very, very busy, so we got to stay on top of it. We didn't do a live show on Sunday. We did a big one on Saturday, a humongous one on Friday, but we could not have a live show tonight. There's too many stories to cover. There's just too much going on, and we know there's more things about the break. Let's get to just the Big 12. The Big 12 is expected to release its 2024 football schedule January 30th. January 30th. The conference revealed the matchups for its first 16-team season in November. But we're going to find out the dates of the games, and that should be pretty fascinating to watch. We also have, before we get into the ACC information, and then we're going to go into the Pandora's Box column And we got some other stuff to talk about. I also want to delve into sports TV market size. I think everybody needs to keep an eye on something. Anyways, we'll get to that as well. Florida State has a virtual meeting this Wednesday, January 24th. I believe I was the first one to put this out on X, formerly known as Twitter, early this morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. We got a heads up that they were going to be putting something on their schedule. So we were looking for it. It popped. Now, we do not believe this has anything to do with Florida State bringing in money from non-athletic revenue streams to pay to get out of the ACC grant rights. This probably has to do with facilities for the stadium, Doak Stadium, what they're doing. They're already renovations. This probably has to do with that, right? The Board of Governors discussing non-athletic I still think it's important just to keep an eye on this because just because Peter Collins strikes me as an individual who might say something off the cuff. We're going to be keeping an eye on this meeting. We don't think it has anything to do with getting a loan to pay to get out of the ACC, but we're still going to keep an eye on this meeting and any meetings that are going on at Florida State Board of Trustees when it comes to athletics. We also have a meeting. It just keeps going and going and going this week, ladies and gentlemen. This live show is basically a heads up for the rest of the week. Then we've got a notice of meeting that was put out a while ago. The Regents of the University of California Special Committee on Athletics. January 23rd. That's tomorrow. Upon adjournment of open session meeting, we don't really know what this is about other than it's a proposed audit of UC Berkeley athletics. There's no more information than this. We do know that they are running a yearly deficit even when they're getting heavily supported by the general campus funds. And it's not going to get any easier as they go into the ACC. They're going in as a big discount for the ACC. More travel costs, and you're not supplementing that with more media revenue money, although you do have that calimony tax over UCLA, which is only going to hurt UCLA. We've covered that. We're going to continue to cover that. So California has a meeting this tomorrow, January 23rd. We're going to keep an eye on that. There's also another meeting. It's a week of meetings. There's another meeting on Wednesday. We believe it's at 1:30 Eastern time. We do not have that confirmed, but we believe it's at 1:30 Eastern time, Wednesday. North Carolina Board of Governors. They're going to be meeting, potentially voting on grabbing more powers so they can hold the veto pen when it comes to, let's say, North Carolina, Chapel Hill trying to change conference affiliation. They're going to have to, if this proposal passes, and we believe it will, North Carolina Chapel Hill is going to have to present a financial plan to the UN North Carolina System President, Peter Hands, and the Board of Governors, and they're basically going to have to okay that financial plan for North Carolina to leave a conference, to go to another conference. But just keep in mind, the Board of Governors and Peter Hands, the system president, they have interest in the well-being of North Carolina State. So that meeting is Wednesday. We believe the vote is Wednesday. So we've got a Florida State meeting, probably to do with football stadium, Doak Stadium. We've got a meeting tomorrow that probably has to do with an audit of the University of California, Berkeley Athletics, an audit on their department that keeps going further in debt, yearly deficits. And then we've got the Board of Governors meeting this Wednesday, North Carolina. We haven't heard anything from Clemson. It still is crickets. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that as well. We believe they have entered into the window of action. Sometime between January 30th, February 6th, this is the time. If they're going to pull the trigger, they're going to pull it now. They're not going to do it after the winter meetings. Not when it comes to the year 2024. And Florida State, this court case, this case against the ACC, it's going to take some time. We know that Florida State would love for Clemson to follow up with Florida State, to get into the game, to get into the fight. Now, again, ACC just sued, basically trying to successfully sue Florida State for damages, trying to cut off Florida State's ability to participate and vote in ACC matters. How is Clemson taking this? We don't know. We've just started to poke and prod again today. So hopefully we'll have some information tomorrow or Wednesday. But this is a very busy week in college football. And then we've got the Pandora's box has been opened. That was the title of an article that came out today on 3. There is no guardrails. People are going nuts. We're going to go into that article as well in a little bit. Let's cover the ACC real quick here. This is the week 1 schedule. We knew about the North Carolina at Minnesota game. You've got a Thursday night game, North Carolina State versus Western Carolina. Wake Forest versus North Carolina A&T. And then on Friday, it's Duke versus Elon. And then you got Stanford ACC. First game, it's a non-conference game, but first game as an ACC member. Stanford versus TCU. And this, it looks awfully strange. Stanford and the ACC. It looks awfully strange. But anyways, then you got on Saturday, California versus UC Davis Aggies. You got the big game of the weekend, Clemson versus Georgia in Atlanta, Georgia. You got Georgia Tech versus Georgia Southern. Georgia Tech versus Georgia State, the Panthers. And this is a week after Georgia Tech plays in Dublin, Ireland. They're playing in Dublin, Ireland on the 24th against the Florida State Seminoles, the defending, reigning ACC champions. In Georgia Tech, this is a quick turnaround, right? Playing on a Saturday in Dublin, Ireland. They're playing on a Saturday the next week. Louisville plays the Austin Peay Governors. Miami Hurricanes versus the Florida Gators. The second big game of the weekend in ACC for the ACC teams. Big non-conference game. Big non-conference game. Holy smokes. Wow. Then you got the Pittsburgh Panthers versus the Kent State Golden Flashes. SMU, their first game as an ACC member, playing against the HCU Huskies in the Southland Conference. You got the Syracuse. You got the Syracuse Orange, Mr. Kyle McCord versus the Ohio Bobcats. You got the Virginia Cavaliers versus Richmond Spiders. Virginia Tech Hokies at Vanderbilt. And then the game. Monday night, Boston College at Florida State. So Florida State gets a couple extra days after coming home from Dublin, Ireland. That's a pretty tough turnaround for Georgia Tech. Rambling Wreck going against Georgia State there on Saturday the 31st. So those are your week one games. There's a couple good ones. There's more than a couple good ones. Right? You got Georgia, Clemson. You got Miami, Florida. It's going to be interesting to see Kyle McCord quarterback in the orange. And then, of course, you got North Carolina, the Tar Heels versus my beloved Golden Gophers. So, anyways, that's week one of the ACC games. Now, I just want to touch base. Not going to do a deep dive here, guys. Not going to do a deep dive. There's been so many. There has been so many. There has been. Oh, what's going on here? What's going on? There has been so many changes in these ACC rosters, and we're going to start diving into all of this. The portal's still percolating. The coaching carousel is still spinning. It might spin a little bit more. So we're just going to look at some ACC quarterback rankings. And this is not even rankings. I shouldn't have titled this rankings. I should have just titled this ACC quarterback. Took some of this information off the Louisville Cardinal 247 site and confirmed it with some other sites. Let's see, we're having some trouble with the TV here. Hold on. Okay. We're listing these quarterbacks here. The numbers next to the name are the QBR rankings, which don't really tell us. It tells us something, but it doesn't really tell us a whole lot. But that's how we have them listed in order. It's not how I would have these quarterbacks ranked going in the 2024 season. Hank Bachmeier, Wake Forest, coming from Boise State. Again, he was nicked up last year. He lost his starting job. He's had better years at Boise State, right? Last year was not as, he's better than 103. That's all, I'm just going to put it that way. Heisman Hank, I used to call him when he came out of high school. He was recruited by the Gophers. Hank Bachmeier, right? Transferring Boise State to Wake Forest. Will he get that QB1 job? You got Ashton Daniels from Stanford, Clay Klubnik from Clemson. Clemson hopes to get, they need more out of him. They need more out of that wide receiver room. Jones from Virginia Tech. Got a couple guys from we don't know who's going to be QB1. Mendoza is one of the guys. Cameron Ward, right? Cameron Ward. Miami gets him in the transfer portal. Coming from Washington State, he went in. He dipped his toes in the NFL draft. He got graded. They figured he better come back for another year. I absolutely agree. He's got to clean up his pocket play. He stays too much time in the pocket. Fumbles the ball way too much. He's got to clean it up. This is one last year. Clean it up, Cameron Ward, and you could be a first-round draft pick next year. Then you got the Boston College quarterback. Pretty exciting cat. Made a lot of big plays. Castellanos. He made some big plays last year, rolling out. He uses his feet, makes big plays. Max Johnson, North Carolina. I don't know how that's going to work out. That's a major step down for the Tar Heels. Grayson McCall, coming from Coastal Carolina. North Carolina State. He's stepping up in class. We'll see how that works. And then you got Chandler Rogers, another guy who's looking to compete for the California job. Kyle McCord. He's the highest rated quarterback when it comes to QBR rating from last year. The transfer from the Buckeyes, one more year left of eligibility. Syracuse, first year head coach. This was a big get for Syracuse. DJ Ungale, Florida State. Now, I took the L. I took the L months ago. I did not think that DJ was going to have as good a year as he did at Oregon State. I was wrong. The PATC community was correct. He was pretty good. He did move the needle a little bit for the Beavers. And now he's coming back, Florida State, looking for one big, gigantic year to help them in the 2025 NFL draft. Haynes King, he came on last year. He found a pulse when it comes to college football. Preston Stone. You guys know how much I like Preston Stone. I predicted SMU to have a very good year in 2024. But I think I'm going to take a step back from that. I don't think they're going to be a dark horse to get into the playoffs any longer. But we'll talk more about SMU in the weeks and months ahead. Galandria, Anthony, Virginia, another quarterback. And then, of course, you got the Louisville quarterback coming in, Tyler Shaw from Louisville Cardinals. He came in, Texas Tech Red Raiders, got hurt last year. If he had enough plays to qualify, he would have been number 70 in total QBR. He was 29 in 2022. You have Malik Murphy, Duke. Big transfer from the Texas Longhorns. We'll see what happens with Murphy and the Duke Blue Devils. You got Holstein, who transferred. Now, we got a whole bunch of Alabama Crimson Tide players going in the portal. Holstein did it a while ago. So, interesting. We'll see what Holstein does at Pittsburgh. And there it is. I just wanted to talk about some quarterback position in the ACC. Just to get everybody's mind thinking, right? Rosters for the coming season. I know we're not even out of the month of January. We've got February. We got March. We're going to be talking about spring games late March. In April, we're going to be doing watch parties on some spring games. But we're going to ease into it. We're already talking about the quarterback position in the ACC. This is ACC week, really. Today we got the the games for week 1. Tomorrow we're going to get the Thursday, Friday games. And then Friday we're going to get the whole ACC schedule. And then next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow, we're going to get the Big 12 schedule for 2024. And we're going to be covering that here at Peek Around the Corner. Okay. Hello, Greg. Thank you, Anthony Palika, for your super chat, for your generosity once again. Hello to you, Anthony. I appreciate you coming on in. I appreciate everybody coming on in. John Till, Ohio State killed Bama in the portal. Ouch. Got themselves another quarterback. Just saying. They got saying. Thank you, John, for the super chat. Again, appreciate your continued generosity. Before we get to the big article that I want to get to when it comes to the Pandora's box opening, let me thank everybody for coming on in. Jeff Jorgensen, Joe Z, the architect, the entertainment I need. Greg is piecing the puzzle pieces together. Hagen is in the house. Buckshot Kid, early peak member. Joe Z, early peak members in the house. BR 7062, lights, camera, action is in the house. Coy's in the house. CFB Plus, Salt of the Earth is here. Randy Taylor, AMAC, Coy's in the house. Yes, the Big Ten released their schedule. Robbie Heck Music, the newest early peak member, joined today. Illini Ted is in the house. Illini Ted is in the house. Daniel's in the house. Rock the Line is, right of the line. Why practice the victory formation if you don't plan on many victories? Very interesting. Very interesting. There's literally no way Cameron Ward is 50th ranked quarterback in college football. I agree with you. That was just QBR rankings. But he does have to clean up the fumbling. No question about it. I like the kid from Virginia as well. TCU to the Big 12. TCU to Big 12. Thanks for coming on in, Mick Stevens. Paul Clifton is in the house with the coaching at Florida State. DJ Ungo Ungale could be dangerous. Get ready. It's not that far. TCU Horns to the Big Ten. That's what Mick Stevens meant. And thank you, Mick, for coming on in, for everybody coming on in. I appreciate it. Coy has just gifted a membership. Holy smokes. Unbelievable generosity from Coy once again. Thank you so much. Jamie Thornton was gifted a membership by Coy. Coy, you are here, knighted, cloak and dagger, knighted once again. And because of your generosity, Jamie Thornton, Jamie, Mrs. Arkansas Razorback, is hereby knighted. Cloak and dagger, knighted. Congratulations. For those who do not know, if you are an early peak Cloak and Dagger member, you can watch the early peak episodes that come out early in the morning, a couple times a week. They give you the easy first drop of information, Cloak and Dagger style. Become a member. Just gotta hit the join button. Just hit the join button. Thank you, Coy, so very much. I appreciate it, sir. I appreciate your continued generosity. I want to get to, before we get to the Pandora's box, opening up, just let me open up my cherry, no sugar Coca-Cola. And we're going to talk about market size just a little bit here. Again, I don't want anybody to overreact what I'm about to say. Okay? I want everybody to relax. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. I'm covering this because we cover everything in college football. It doesn't, I'm just saying. We're covering this because we cover everything. We talked about the Holy Smokes Theater. That's not what this live show is about tonight. We're going to go into an article that talks about how Pandora's box has been opened in college football. We all know this, but the way the article is written, I think it really hits home. It really hits home to the college football fan. How crazy, how untenable things are right now. So I want to go through that article. I want to hear your comments, and I want to take your phone calls later in the show. You can talk about anything college football. But remember in the Holy Smokes Theater, we talked about Clemson and Florida State's at the center of the stage. In North Carolina is in row 1 with the Miami, Florida Hurricanes. Remember all that? And I got some heat saying, why is Miami in the front row? And it's because the information we received that if push came to shove, if there was an opportunity, if there was an ACC implosion, that if Florida State got themselves out of the grant of rights, paid their way out settlement, decent number, and the doors open from the Big Ten, that, they could be 19. They could be 19 for a while. Maybe nobody becomes 20 for a while. But if there was a 20th school, if there was a partner with Florida State, that Fox Sports would probably support the Miami Hurricanes edition over many other ACC schools. Not over Notre Dame, not over North Carolina, but maybe over everybody else. I get it. Miami of Florida doesn't have a off-campus football stadium. They don't fill it up. They don't have that fan intensity. They still have a brand, but it's been diminished. But again, they have that football issue. It's a pro market. We get it. But we also talked about, we were told this, that Fox Sports would probably look at a Miami, Florida State combination, much like they looked at the Washington, Oregon combination, where one came from a big market, that has disposable income, the demographics that the networks would want the city of Seattle, and the other school was a brand multiplier. The brand is so big, that it multiplied the brand of many of the Big Ten teams that Oregon would be playing on that Saturday, or on the basketball court, or whatever. But football mainly. The Florida State and Miami Hurricanes would be looked as much the same. It's a blend. It could possibly cover everybody in the Big Ten. That combination could scratch the back of everybody. There could be enough horse trading of votes that combination could get through. Florida State being much bigger fan intensity, more valuable brand, higher on the chart. Hold on one second. Higher on the... But Miami does bring in a huge, unique market that Fox Sports would love to grab. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean at the end of the day that Miami of Florida would be the combo with Florida State. It doesn't. Fox Sports doesn't. Now, a lot of people are going to roll their eyes, but Fox Sports doesn't call all the shots. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't. I know a lot of people are saying, Greg, you're naive. I'm not naive. This is not my first rodeo. We understand. We understand I understand. All the critics, I do. I'm just saying, we reported you for months that Fox Sports was in the corner of Oregon. Fox Sports, if they were given some options from the Big Ten, Florida State +1, that +1, if it wasn't North Carolina, Notre Dame, Fox Sports would probably say, yeah, I would like the Hurricane to double up with the Seminoles. This is a sports TV market size by Sports Media Watch. Again, I just want to emphasize something because I'm going to get yelled at. I'm going to get yelled at in the chat. Somebody's going to call me up and yell at me. That's fine. Then after the show's over, the comments are going to flood in. And that's when they really crucify me. Greg, don't you understand? It's not just market size. We know it's not just market size. We know it's not. We know it's not. We know it's not. I'm going to repeat that over and over again. But again, it is of interest to your media partners. Rivalries, brand, demographics, spending money in that market. Of course, academics, research in the Big Ten. Market size is part of the evaluation, and everybody's back has to get scratched. It was with Washington and Oregon. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It's not a secret. I reported to you. I was the one that was reporting to you all that, I'm sorry to say this, but Wisconsin and Michigan, they wanted Washington. Other Big Ten schools, they wanted Oregon. Do you know why? Because when Oregon goes into Illinois, when Oregon goes into Northwestern, when Oregon goes into Purdue, when Oregon goes into Minnesota, the stadiums are going to get filled. They're a market brand multiplier. And the combination of those two, as we reported to you, was either going to be in the Big Ten 5 months from now or 5 years from now. It happened within those 5 months. Brand market, major pro college sports. This was just put out by Sports Media Watch. If you look at the markets, you look at the NCAA power conferences, which team is in which market, this is not 100% accurate. We know this, okay? We're using this as a guide. Okay, this is not the end to be all. So please, it's just a general guide. Okay, New York City, we know that New York, not a college football market at all. Basically, at all. At the top of it's Rutgers, okay, fine. But it's not, it's valuable to a certain point. Again, market size matters. Rutgers in New Jersey, it kind of grabs a little bit of it. Syracuse is in there, Seton Hall, UConn. Los Angeles, the city of Los Angeles. Now the market, of course, the market size is huge, but the brand of USC and UCLA, Big Ten, Fox Sports, they wanted it all. That's pretty self-explanatory. Chicago, not again. Look, Notre Dame is huge in Chicago. You take out Notre Dame and it's not really a big college football market. Illinois, Northwestern, they split it up. Notre Dame is big in Chicago. Philadelphia is owned by Penn State, right? So you got these big markets that have some sort of fan intensity or not being owned by the Big Ten. Los Angeles, not a huge, big enough when it comes to college sports. Philadelphia, Penn State, Pennsylvania. Dallas-Fort Worth, this is split up. SMU, TCU, Texas A&M. Big, huge market, but it's owned mostly by Texas. TCU's got a little bit more than SMU, of course. This Houston one is a big, huge market, and this should say Texas A&M here. Texas A&M, Texas, Houston. So this is one big mistake, I believe. Texas A&M is huge. Texas is huge in the city of Houston. Okay. And, of course, you got other schools, TCU, Baylor, Atlanta. Georgia is the big one, Georgia Tech. Boston, big market, but it's not a college football market. It just isn't. Washington, D.C., Maryland. Decent enough market. Size is big. Iffy on the college football part of it, but Maryland occupies most of it. Stanford in California. San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose market. That is the 10th biggest market. That is not a college football market. It's a big market, but market is not everything, right? The 11th size is Phoenix, Arizona State. It isn't the most intense college sports market, but I think it's growing. And of course, the market keeps growing in size. And you can see how the Big 12, and we're going to see it later with Colorado here in a little bit. Big 12 grabs some market, guys. The Big 12 grabs some market size. That market size did not help the Pac-12 because the Pac-12 did not watch Pac-12. Pac-12 country did not watch Pac-12 football. But I think you're going to see higher numbers for Arizona in Arizona State. I think they're gonna rise up a little bit in popularity. I think moving in with Oklahoma State, Kansas State, you've got the bigger market blending in with the smaller but more college football friendly markets, and the blend is going to help rise all the boats, lift up all the boats in the Big 12 in the years ahead. Tampa, St. Pete, Florida, Gainesville, big market, high intensity, very valuable. Seattle, Washington State. So the Big Ten picked up Seattle. Another big market, Detroit, Michigan State. The state of Michigan, big college football market. Minnesota, Minneapolis, St. Paul, not a college football market, unfortunately, for myself and other Golden Gopher fans. It's the biggest, it's the biggest market, way more north in Detroit. It's, but anyways, there it is. Minnesota's the only FBS college football program in Minnesota. Orlando, Daytona, UCF, Florida. Now, UCF has become the bigger brand in the city of Orlando, and that's not how it was 15 years ago, but it is now. Florida State, of course, they still have a lot of fans in Orlando. Of course they do. But UCF has become a pretty decent brand. Denver, Colorado, much like Minneapolis, St. Paul. more of a pro market. But it's still a big market. The Big 12 is still going to help them, right? The blend, the Big 12, the blend of Phoenix, of Denver, with their smaller markets, but intensity, high level intensity college football markets of Manhattan, of Ames, Iowa, of Morgantown, go right down the list. This is a more healthy, more valuable blend. It's blend. Blend is the catchphrase. The Big Ten has huge markets, a lot that aren't so big in college, but then you blend them in with Columbus. I mean, it's about the blend, and I'm going to get to that in a second here. Miami, St. Fort Lauderdale, Miami Hurricanes, again, not a big college football market. It's not. You got the Dolphins, you got the Heat. Miami Heat even has a hard time filling up their basketball arena unless they're contending for an NBA championship. But it is a big, big market, and it is a growing market, and it's a unique market. It's much like, well, I'm not going to compare it to anything, but, and then you got Cleveland, Akron, Ohio State. Ohio State owns the whole state of Ohio. I want to show you, now again, everybody relax. Florida State is a bigger brand than Miami. Florida State is a more valuable brand than Miami. Florida State is a public school. Florida State pretty much has all the advantages over Miami, but the market size, they do not. Again, you're looking at blend. Eugene, Oregon is here, number 119. Tallahassee, 108. Florida State is a brand multiplier. Oregon is a brand multiplier. Oregon was linked up with Washington. Seattle, number 13. So I'm just giving you everybody a heads up. Tallahassee, 105, getting linked up with a 18. Miami, Fort Lauderdale. It's called blend. It's called blending. Blending big markets with markets that have this incredible intensity. You can sell Miami of Florida to the Big Ten presidents, no question about it. Just keep an eye on that. Just keep an eye on that potential combo. I just wanted to bring it up again. I wanted to illustrate why we've been told this a couple times. Keep an eye on Miami of Florida. That's why we have them in the first row. That's why we have them in the first row. And let me see if I still have this. Remember, it was reported December 28th, Miami Athletic Director Dan Radakovich said Miami is an interested observer, with Florida State taking actions toward leaving the ACC. But right now, they are proud members of the ACC. So I ain't saying nothing, but I'm saying, just keep an eye on that. Florida State is the bigger brand. Florida State's the most valuable brand. Florida State would be wanted over Miami. But I'm telling you something, in the Big Ten. These media companies, they love the blend. They need those bigger markets. reach the national advertisers like it more. And it's all about ad rates. It's all about diversifying your markets. And that's what the Big Ten does. SEC doesn't do that. But anyways, okay. Enough with that. Now, I'm going to get to this. And then we're going to get to your comments and your phone calls. This article, I don't know. It's correct. The information's correct. It's scary. There's only one solution. We keep talking about it. I don't think anyone's listening. I don't think Greg Sankey gets it. I don't know if Tony Petitti does or not. He's a new commissioner. He seems to be acquiescing to Greg Sankey. Greg Sankey does not want contracts, does not want student athletes to be employees. But that's the only way. That's the only way to build guardrails around the game we love. We've opened Pandora's box. College coaches, staffers sound off on the untenable calendar, the lack of guardrails around the transfer portal. At the annual AFCA convention in Nashville earlier this month, college coaches, assistants, player personnel directors, recruiting coordinators spent the week interviewing for jobs, networking, and giving speeches. The hordes of logoed polos and bros in spiffy suits also did what many do best, gripe about the ills of college football's current landscape. Not that they're wrong. The sports crammed calendar, the early signing period, the transfer portal window, the coaching carousel, the bowl games and the playoffs, all happening in the same 4-week window? Holy smokes. Remains a primary source of contention. This is the worst time in the world to have this AFCA convention now. Nobody comes. None of the big dogs are here unless you're a couple hours away because they're wearing their ass out back home trying to hold on to their rosters, one FCS head coach said. As the calendar has become more increasingly untenable, staffers from coaches to personnel directors have reached a tipping point with their frustrations with the ever-changing NCAA transfer portal specifically. Coaches complain about the tsunami of tampering. Yeah, it's all over the place. Player movement, game of blind speed dating. And a year later, the situation has only gotten worse. In the second iteration of the new 45-day winter window, over 2,200 players have entered the portal this year, and nearly half are still uncommitted. With the constant roster churns, the staffs are frustrated and exhausted. That's the big word, exhausted. And their wide-ranging complaints were even louder this January. We've opened up Pandora's box, one SEC player personnel director said. We've totally lost the plot, said another ACC head coach. I spent 4 days in Nashville talking to an array of coaches and football staffers, most of whom sounded off on the calendar and the broken system with little oversight. Frustrations included the transfer portal window dates, players now being allowed to transfer multiple times. It's crazy. Crazy. Non-binding transfer commitments. These transfers mean nothing. You can transfer. You can leave. You can be in a classroom and just walk out and be in the portal again. There's no commitment anywhere. There's no ability to manage rosters. All this is going to kill the game. I love the empowerment of the student athlete. But the pendulum has got to start swinging the other way. NILs pay for play, of course, tampering. Several coaches the current transfer portal chaos to the Wild Wild West, comparing it to the Wild Wild West. Passing along crazy back alley bidding war, rumors, and tampering stories too juicy to print. Many coaches believe NIL remains the driving force of the sheer volume of transfers. The hot button issues with the transfer portal. Coaches remain advocates for freedom of player movement and insisted the transfer portal itself is not the problem. Instead, it's their issues, the lack of regulation, minimum guardrails around the portal, an interconnected mess that is the NIL. I think the NIL is good. I think the portal is fine, but the two should not be mixed together. Coaches complain among the difficulty of managing a roster when transfers have nothing binding them to a school until they actually enroll, and even then, it doesn't bind them. It does not bind them. A national letter of intent, NIL, is being considered for transfers. But just like with the best high school prospects, the top transfers would have little incentive to sign a document. These student athletes have to become employees, ladies and gentlemen. I know a lot of you in the PATC community still disagree with me. But I don't know if what other solution is there? Let me know in the chat. Let me know with the phone calls later in the show. We're not sustainable where we are. We're not doing what's in the best interest of kids and student athletes long term, SMU head coach Lashley said. I mean, you got half of the student athletes in football in the portal are not committed. They might not even have a spot to go to. Back to the article, there's not another sport that has free agency start while your season's going on. There's no contracts. Said another head coach, we make good money, but our compliance people can't even enjoy Christmas because they're waiting for the next transfer email to drop. This is unsustainable. This is crazy. Lashley, Marshall's Charles Huff, and several other coaches who spoke anonymously proposed a loan transfer portal in the spring. Players and coaches would have a month to make decisions. The academic calendar would no longer be an issue. Players would finish the semester with their school and then enroll at their new school in the summer. Ideally, a single portal window would cut down on some of the portal overflow and might even lessen problems like bowl opt-outs. Wow. So what's the possible solution? There's a lot of this article that we're not going through. I did provide a link in the description. You can read the whole thing. Coaches and staffers alike acknowledge there is no one all fix for the portal problems. Yet, unlike a year ago, there was a greater consensus on how to fix many of the issues. Accept the inevitable and sign the players to contracts. Coaches seem finally willing to give up a piece of the pie for the great peace during the offseason. Sign the players to contracts. Coaches seem finally willing to give up a piece of the pie for the great peace, P-A-C-E, during the offseason. That's the solution. Coaches and staffers were unsure which model was best, from outright revenue sharing to granting players employee status, either with the school or conference. This is right out of my episode 1, August 10th, 2022. Either with the school or conference, granting players employee. There are factors like Title IX, a collective bargaining agreement, and antitrust that cannot be just hand-waved away, but coaches believe contracts would alleviate many of the problems around the portal and NIL. Contracts. We need to think about the whole, not just the player. What everybody has done is sued to get what they want. The multiple transfers is because West Virginia basketball wanted that player eligible, and that's great. And name, image, and likeness came about because the Supreme Court said it's not fair to use these guys not to pay them. And that's great. But it's total freedom, right? I'm not the smartest guy, but the only thing I can say is we go to contracts. We're asking 18-year-olds to figure this out. When we had a draft, there's a reason the U.S. Army used to put the 19-year-olds at the front line. Full steam ahead, right? And we're asking these kids to make life-changing decisions without any structure. Several coaches, including Matt Rule, and South Florida head coach Alex Golish suggested models where players could sign contracts of various lengths. This is what we've been saying since we started this football YouTube channel. Sign for 1 year, have more freedom. Sign for 2 years, have more security. Sign for 3 years, that's the place you've always wanted to play. They're paying you good money. Sign for 4 years. The contracts could be set up where players would still allow to transfer, but they would have to pay back the money they received if they don't live out the life of the said deal. If I had my druthers, a player would sign up for a certain amount of time, Matt Rule explained. He would say, I'm signing up with you guys, Nebraska, for 2 years or 3 years or 4 years. Oh, and the academic requirements would probably be improved. And at the end of the day, we'd still be educating people and still go to 3 different colleges, keep moving around. I want to make sure kids are getting their degrees, getting real degrees, getting master degrees, and doing things that affect their lives moving forward. You can read the rest of the article. It's a big, long article, but it's an important article. On 3. Let me get to the name again. Jesse Simonton. Jesse Simonton. Go read it. On 3, there's a link provided. Give me another solution. I'm willing to listen, but get the student athletes represented. Get Title IX represented. I don't care. The volleyball players should be signing contracts. Softball players should be signing contracts. The money, the years, what type of out clause do they have? That all can be negotiated between the student athletes, their agent, I don't care. They're being represented by a union, I don't care. Have them represented. Have them know. Have them field the offers. And then academics is all included in that as well, as always. But when you sign, then you have some commitment to the school. The school can plan for you to be there for 2, 3, 4 years. And if you want out, there's some ways to get out. Anyways, I want to hear your comments and phone calls about this. Let me get to some of your comments. I'd rather have Georgia Tech than Clemson. Talking about the Big Ten, the SEC already has Florida, Alabama, Georgia. Now Clemson could come in with Florida State. Sarge and Pickles. Based on Washington and Oregon example, it would be Florida State and Georgia Tech. Yes, but it's still more in line with Miami. Miami's its own market, right? 18th, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, 18th biggest market. Miami is the biggest dog in that market. Georgia Tech's not the biggest dog in the Georgia market. That would be the difference. So I still think it's more comparable to Miami and Florida State with Seattle, with Washington and Oregon. But I understand what you're saying. Greg, there needs to be clauses in the contract about injuries where guys can't lose their contract due to having them. No question about it. They would be protected. Go Black 45. They would still get paid. They'd be protected. Side note, isn't it funny that no real spring football league has ever succeeded? Just college football, NFL players never have a stable go-between. College is being used as a minor league. Florida State, yes, you are correct, Tony. Florida State has just started a stadium renovation. I just read will reduce capacity by 10,000. That's probably what this meeting's about. On Wednesday, January 24th, there's going to be a loan. They're talking about a loan for athletics. It's probably what that's talking about. We're going to be keeping an eye on this. We're going to be keeping an eye on this meeting. We got a bunch of meetings going on. We've got the Florida State meeting, right, on the 24th. We've got the California meeting. California Berkeley meeting, that's tomorrow, and all it says in the agenda is audits for athletics. They're doing an audit. They've been running a big time debt year after year after year at California Berkeley. They're having a meeting tomorrow on it, an audit. So keep an eye on that. Then we got the Board of Governors in North Carolina, meeting on Wednesday. I believe it's at 1:30. That could be, it will be. It will be a huge story. We're going to be covering that live, if possible. We're going to be covering it regardless on Wednesday, but I'm hoping to cover it right when it happens, right when that vote happens. The phone lines are open, 763-260-1333, 760-260-1333. Give us a call. Talk about anything college football. Big Ten wants the Atlanta market. My ex is blowing up from all the tweets about Arizona athletic director right now. What's going on with that? Dan Hickey, what's going on with that? UCLA about to pay some calimony. Yeah. Breaking news. Breaking news. Holy smokes. Jason Shear, Arizona athletic director, was fired after an audit from an independent firm found irregularities and massive amounts of money missing and needed for the athletic department. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Breaking news. Adam Rittenberg. Arizona announces the athletic director, Dave Hickey. Hickey will step down February 2nd. Former longtime softball coach Mike Candrea would take over as interim AD. What is going on? Okay, hold on, everybody. Hold on. We got breaking news. Breaking news. Give me a moment. Give me a moment. Thank you, PATC community, for keeping your head on a swivel. Holy smokes. Give me a second. Give me a second. Breaking news. Holy smokes. Breaking news. Brett McMurphy. Arizona athletic director Dave Hickey was fired for financial and operational mismanagement, resulting in athletic department financial disaster, loss of major donors, and mishandling of former coaches Jed Fish's contract. Sources told Action Network. Hickey hired new football coach Brett Brennan last week to replace Fish, who went to Washington. Holy smokes. Lots of major donors. Wow. Okay. Let me try to get on top of this. We're covering everything in college football. We're trying to cover everything in college football. Welcome aboard, Brett Brennan. Breaking news. Arizona is making a change at athletic director. University of Arizona makes transition in athletic leadership. The University of Arizona President Robert Robbins announced today its transition in the leadership of the Department of Athletics. I am going to go and see what... how much Sky says, I hate it when I accidentally misplaced $240 million. How much money is gone? Okay. I'm going to have to, let me go. I will not be able to post this. I'm just going to be able to read it to you, okay? I'm not going to be able to... Jason Scheer, 247, Arizona Athletic Director Dave Hickey has been let go, effective February 2nd. Another writer, 247, says Dave Hickey is out at Arizona Athletic Director. I'm going through the comments here. Okay. Jason Scheer, ladies and gentlemen, bear with me here. We got breaking news, trying to give you the best news possible. This is from Jason Scheer at Arizona 247. This is from within the site. There was an audit. There is an audit on Arizona Athletic Department that will be released within the next week or so. And the results are not going to be good. There are other issues at Arizona, but Hickey will be taking the fall for it. Now, there was reports, I know, a couple months ago that Hickey was going to retire. So I don't know if he's just the fall guy, if he's part of it. Something bad has happened at the University of Arizona. I'm reading more comments here. Give me a moment. Breaking news. It sounds real bad here. It was a financial audit. Lots of damage. Hmm. The university. Um, it sounds like there's some money that's missing. I don't want to. I don't want to get. I don't want to. I don't know how much of this is speculation. There is not only an operational mismanagement, according to sources at Arizona, but there is a financial mismanagement. There's a couple things here. And what is odd to me is that 6 days ago, Brett Brennan was it 6 days ago? Brett Brennan was hired as the Arizona football coach. If this audit was going on before that, then why was Dave Hickey allowed? Why was he allowed to name this new Arizona football coach? There's something. Something don't make sense here. Give me a call, 763-260-1333. Give us a call here at College Football's Peek Around the Corner. The Pandora's box is open. We talked about that. ACC, first week of week 1 of games listed. Big 12 is releasing their schedule June 30th. Florida State has a meeting this Wednesday. California has an audit meeting. We're talking about the breaking news right now. Tonight, Arizona Athletic Director, he's getting canned effective February 2nd for operational financial mismanagement. California has an audit coming up tomorrow. Holy smokes. What do you guys think? What do you think? Let me know. What's going on at Arizona? What is going on at Arizona?
Call from
JD.
JD, Mr. Seminole, the floor is yours. Holy smokes, so many things going on in college football. Wow.
Yes, sir. And I want to go ahead and throw my hat in for the Arizona AD job. I might not have any experience in it, but I'm not going to lose $240 million. I can promise you that.
Well, I don't know if they lost 240, but something's happened.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But yeah, I don't know. But to throw into the whole Miami Georgia Tech argument, and I understand why you would say Miami. There's one factor to take into consideration, and no, I don't believe Georgia Tech's going to go in ahead of Miami. I think Georgia Tech is a good option, but primarily because of the market. See, I lived in Atlanta for a long time, and Atlanta is a college football town. It's probably the only major metro area where college football is is the most popular sport by far. Miami, it's a pro town. It just is. So even though Miami, when they're good, yeah, you get decent viewership when they have marquee games, but other than that, what is it? Maybe 1 million, sometimes 800,000 or 900,000. So I guess a lot of it is Miami really has to come back to prominence. Georgia Tech can be successful. They just have some money issues right now, and with a significant influx of cash, I think they might be a bigger draw basketball wise too. Down the road, because McCamish Pavilion down there, right in downtown, that is a popular spot. When Georgia Tech is good, they're as popular or maybe more popular than the Hawks. And they just you just have to kind of get a feel for that town. Georgia Tech has a vibe. They will always be little brother or stepbrother to Georgia. It's just the way it's always going to be. But that is the most valuable town. I always call it, that's the capital of college football. It just is. And, that's also the capital of the SEC. If you plant your flag there, it's saying something. And again, it's not so much about Georgia Tech. It's the geography. It's the real estate. That's the value for it. And anyway, so I could see arguments either way because, you put. There's a lot of Big Ten alumni in Atlanta, obviously. So you have a presence there. Then next thing you know, Georgia Tech immediately becomes a lot more valuable. And then, that's about it.
I can honestly say, Georgia Tech seems to get a decent amount of support from Big Ten, message boards and college YouTube channels. But I can honestly say no one has ever said the word Georgia Tech to me when it comes to being a Big Ten candidate when I talk to the people that I know. So it's a big gap between what people believe that talking to me then versus people that believe that, So we'll see. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of everybody makes a good argument about Georgia Tech, the potential value of Georgia Tech. A lot of good arguments to be made. If somebody would, if the people that I talk to, if someone would say Georgia Tech, they might, then I would start talking about it. I'm just letting you know why I don't bring them up.
Oh, sure. And again, I agree that they're not talking about Georgia Tech. Now, do I know that they've been considered? Yes, I know for a fact they have been considered. Probably not to the level of Miami or anything like that, but I was told some things about a year and a half ago that the option of adding Georgia Tech was very intriguing to some. There were conversations about it, and it was specifically for what I suggested. Not so much the brand, but the location of the brand. And so, but obviously they've done their studies and they felt like Miami was the better option. So, I mean, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. But yeah, just hoping Clemson's going to make some type of a move soon and hoping some of this starts to break loose. But I don't know. I'm about to get burned out on online lawyers, because don't get me wrong, it's fascinating, but nobody has the answers. No. It disappoints me.
Yeah, nobody has the answers. Yeah, including myself. So I guess the next date is February 16th. That's the next big day for Florida State and the ACC because that's the date. Sounds like they're going to respond to each other, and we don't know what's going to come out of that, but
well, right now for me, does the ACC get their injunction before the winter meeting?
That's true. Yep.
And so I don't know. The winter meeting is the day before. So if I understand correctly, there's a few things that have been percolating as far as in my brain, and you know, I keep going back to that 2027, the 2025, and the 2027, and then also the grant of rights going to 2036. And I mean, my conspiracy theory is the ACC ESPN contract never went to 2036. It never did. They had the schools sign a grant of rights, but then they were just giving ESPN the option to renew. And did the schools know? Did the schools know that that's what was going on? Because they make it sound like that's the bill of goods they were sold, was it was a contract to go to 2036. Well, it turns out it wasn't. And that's the smoking gun for me.
Yeah.
You know,
and I'm sure both sides have emails ready to go for discovery, you know, the communications back in the day. And yeah.
But hopefully we get something soon. But as far as the Arizona stuff, I don't have anything, you know.
Got it.
But anyway, I appreciate your show, sir.
Appreciate it, man. Have a good one. JD, Mr. Seminole. We're going to go through an article with the breaking news on Arizona Athletic Director. Just let me get through a couple of generous super chats. John Teal, thank you so much. Does Georgia Tech stand a chance of getting in with Florida State and Miami? I don't think so. I haven't heard anything about Georgia Tech. I wish I would. And if I do, I will discuss them, but it doesn't seem to be, no one is talking to me about Georgia Tech. Thank you so much for your super chat, John. I appreciate it so very much. Tony, congratulations on 4K. A lot of people have been bringing up the 4K. I guess we hit a 4K for subscribers. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it so very much.
Call from
Nitwit.
Nitwit, can you hold on a second?
Yes, Greg.
I appreciate it so very much. Is Joe Mauer getting in? You know what, man? I hope he does. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a homer. But Joe Mauer, you know this, Tony. Everybody who follows baseball. Joe Mauer, if there is one guy in sports who's a complete class act, it's Joe Mauer. He is the real deal. And he won. Joe Mauer, for those who don't know, Joe Mauer was the number one ranked high school baseball player in the country. The number one. He was drafted number one by the Minnesota Twins. He was also the number one ranked quarterback in the country. Think about that. If he was going to play college football, it was going to be at Florida State. Joe Mauer was the best high school player, the best college football player, quarterback. He was the only catcher in the history of the game that won 3 batting titles. Then he got a concussion, and it didn't work. He struggled at the end there. But hopefully he becomes a first ballot Hall of Fame. It's going to be close. It's going to be right close, 75%. It's going to be tight. Nitwit, the floor is yours. What do you got to say, sir?
Hey, Greg, just calling in and talk about this Arizona story. Interesting.
Yes.
Looked up some things myself here, and it looks like the $240 million is campus wide. And what happened was the university gave the athletic department a $55 million loan over COVID.
Yeah.
And I guess that is the sticking point where that money went. And I guess it all can't be accounted for. So But then that goes back to a larger story, right, Greg? These teams coming out of the Pac-12, correct me if I'm wrong, they were in a financial hardship. I mean, their finances weren't looking very good, and I think Arizona was one of the worst. So.
Yeah. They were, yes. Even Colorado, they were going to have a hard time paying off their yearly debt payment for the stadium. Yes, all of them are in tough shape.
Right, and I think UCLA was something like $75 million in debt or something, their athletic department. So this isn't good news for Arizona. I mean, if they're missing 200, I think the $240 million is campus wide. So I just wanted to bring that up. But everything else that you talked about today, crazy landscape in college football. I don't even know if anybody can step up and wrap their arms around this whole thing. But you obviously got to set some parameters. I would be in favor of freshmen not being able to transfer. I don't think anybody. You should have it. You have to at least stay 1 year with the school. If you're going to get NIL money, you might as well stay there for a year and guarantee that. I think after a year being in a program, then you're mature enough to kind of make the decisions to move on if things isn't working out. I think the only open period should be after spring ball and the beginning of fall practice. I think that should be an open period. Anything after that, you shouldn't be able to transfer. So
the not having freshmen not being able to transfer is going to be, it's going to be shot down by the courts at some point. Somebody's going to file a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Yep. So.
But then that goes to where your contracts are.
Yeah.
So if I'm signing an NLI contract coming in as an incoming freshman, and I'm signing an NL, part of that contract is you have to stay in the program at least a year. No. And I don't think a court would shoot that down. And the problem about this is the coaches. I know everybody's saying that the coaches aren't. They're having a hard time, but you know what? When I got to move a player on, I don't really mind having an NIL. Yeah. You know what I mean, Greg?
Yeah, no, you're right.
So
having a player under contract is going to make it so the coaches can't move them on, right? They're still going to get paid. Right. They're protected.
They're still going to get paid.
Yeah.
And that's the danger of it all because – I think there's some models out there. I think, as much as I'm not a big Michigan fan, I think they've done it right to where they're going to start rewarding players with deals that play multiple years. So what you're going to have is you're going to have this kind of conundrum like you remember college basketball. You'd have these one and done programs versus the Villanovas that the guys have been playing together for 5 years or 4 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting how the college landscape goes. What model are you going to adopt? Are you going to adopt, well, I'm going to build my program every year through the transfer portal and NIL? Or are you going to try to bring a team along where they played together for 3 years and maybe just add here and there? It's going to be interesting how this all goes down because like I said, I think people don't understand the intricacies of Michigan's program. They don't pay players right off the bat. They pay players that are there to keep them there, and it's the people that perform that get paid. So it'll be interesting in what they're not just Miami out there saying, "Oh, well, you're pretty good. Let me throw $200 million at you." You know what I mean? Like that's just not. That's not sustainable, and that's just absolutely insane. So, like whatever parameters that you're going to put on it, I think you got to do the transfer portal first. You got to kind of hone that down. And I know at the end of the season, people think you should transfer because, you're done with the program. You want to go to another program. You need to enroll the next year before January, before spring ball and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think the natural open period is after spring ball and the start of fall practice. There's your free agency period. Like I said, if I'm a freshman NIL person and I sign a contract, it has to be for a year. and you can't transfer for a year and your freshman season. It's been done in the past. Freshmen hasn't been able to do stuff in the past. There's precedent for it. I mean, like even the NFL has the rookie grade scale, whatever that is. You know what I mean? So just throwing all that stuff out there, Greg. Great show. I haven't called in, but it looks like you and I, all us Big Ten fans, we're just going to get run over by Ohio State, right?
Well, not the Gophers, baby. Do you know why?
Oh.
Do you know why we're not going to get run over by the Buckeyes?
You won't.
Because we don't play them. We don't play them this year in 2024. They can't touch us. So
that's right.
And we're not going to be doing any scrimmages with them. So no way, Jose. The Buckeyes can't touch us. All right.
God bless. Take care.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Yeah, we're not scared of the Buckeyes. Yeah, the Buckeyes. Super team, Caleb Downs. I mean, it's going to come down to it's going to come down to that O-line and Will Howard. If the O-line is pretty good, and if Will Howard plays at a really good level, a little bit higher level than that Kyle McCord just played at, the Buckeyes, I mean, they're, along with Georgia, they're 1A, 1B for next year, correct? Right? Georgia and the Buckeyes. The Bulldogs and the Buckeyes. I don't know. I think they're going to be like minus 350, minus 250 to win it all. I think those are the two big chalks. Greg, you're doubting the Gophers will get to the Big Ten championship game? Yeah, we're just going to miss out, Ryan. We're going to just miss out. You know what? Honestly, I just want to see Max Brosmere in the spring football game. The new quarterback. I just want to see it. If he looks good, I'm going to get all hyped up for next year. If he doesn't look good, I'm going to go into depression. But we got to see our quarterback. The best FCS quarterback in the country, not even close. The Gophers got him. Can he step up? Can he play at this level? I don't know. No idea. But we're going to find out. We are going to find out. A lot of people talking viewership and brand power and academic rankings. Thank you, Mr. Terrapin, D5 Terps. I'm just saying, but I'm not saying, but I'm saying. I am saying that that market is going to play a factor. It is going to play a factor in decision making on what happens with Miami Hurricanes. Jamie Thornton is an early peak member. Remember that. She just became an early peak member today, courtesy of Coy. Thank you so much, Coy. Okay, just going to check the breaking news. Breaking news. Arizona Athletic Director fired effective February 2nd. Operational mismanagement. Holy smokes. The lines are open 763-260-1333. Wow. they're in a little bit of trouble, Arizona. I don't know how much money they don't know how much money they got that they lost, but it sounds like it could be a lot. Where'd the money go? I don't know. I have no idea. Breaking news while we were doing a live show, and that happens a lot here at Peek Around the Corner. Happens almost every live show. Happens almost every live show. Okay, if you're new to the channel, or if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the subscribe button and smash the like button. It helps us with the algorithm of YouTube so very much. Please subscribe and turn on your notifications because we can come on live at any time. We could come at live 11 o'clock tonight. We could come on live at 9 o'clock tonight if Jim Harbaugh decides to take the Atlanta job. He's getting a second interview with the Chargers. He's getting a second interview with Atlanta. We could come on live any time. There seems to be breaking news constantly in college football. So you have to have your notifications on. Subscribe and make sure you have your notifications on. We've got meetings tomorrow. California, University of California, Berkeley, an athletics audit meeting. The board of regents is having a meeting. It's the only thing it says in the agenda is an audit, athletics. And then we have a meeting for Florida State Board of Trustees. It sounds like they're talking about a loan for athletic department to help out with Doak Stadium, the renovations. We're not quite sure on that. We're keeping an eye on that meeting. Of course, we have a meeting in the Board of Governors this Wednesday. North Carolina, are they going to assume more power, the veto pen, when it comes to conference affiliation issues? We've got that coming Wednesday. We got the Big 12 expected football schedule being released next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow. We've got news happening almost every single day. Almost every single day we've got news going on. So make sure you are subscribed and notified. Have your notifications on. And then we're having a live show tonight. Breaking news. Breaking news. Athletic Director Dave Hickey is out on February 2nd. Arizona's missing some money.
Call from
ABO Prep Course 1.
Soap is on the line. Thank you for the call, Soap. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Greg. I've got an idea that I think is a little bit cleaner way for this NIL to work. And that would be that each of the students or student athletes would sign over their NIL rights to the school, somewhat similar to the way that the rights for the TV rights are done by the universities are signed over to the conference. The players would sign over their NIL rights. Now, in turn, the university would take their NIL rights and put them into a pool. And that entire pool would generate money. And you would get if you're a big hot shot player and you're in demand, you would get a percentage of all the money you bring into the pool. But the pool fund would guarantee that freshmen make X amount of dollars, sophomores make Y, juniors make Z, and seniors the maximum amount. And each player would have a set amount of money that they would be paid, and that would increase based upon their success and the demand for them to do marketing or whatever. But it would
go up. If you're the top receiver, you would get more money from that pool, and you could even add to that pool from funds for making it to the playoffs and so forth. So the players actually benefit from bowl money or making it to the playoffs. So there's interest there. You could also have it where states, if you're a citizen of the state of the university which you're attending, you would have a higher percentage of that fund that you receive than out-of-state students. That way you would, if I'm here in Texas, we want to keep Texas boys going playing college football in Texas instead of going to, Minnesota or Alabama or somewhere. So that could be utilized also. But if you segregate this fund from the football, so the coaches don't have anything to do with the money. The coaches aren't the ones that are paying the players. The coaches are going out saying, we want this player. Then there is a separate entity, this NIL fund that says, this is what we pay. This is what we pay, and you want to go to the University of Texas because the average player at the University of Texas made $300,000 last year, where the average player at the University of Houston made $150,000. So there's the desire by the student to go, but they're not having to get get an agent to go out and negotiate individually for them. It's all part of a collective of run by a separate entity at the university. So that's kind of what I think about it. What do you think? Could something like that work? You think that?
I don't know because of the courts again. If you're automatically limiting people, the courts have basically said that you must treat the student athlete the same way you treat the student when it comes to NIL. So you can't really have limits. I do think the school buying the NIL rights of a student athlete, just like a person, just like that's probably not a good comparison, but like a singer signs over their rights to a music company. I mean, that has some merit to it. That's one of the proposals that Charlie Baker brought in front of the Congress and to the people in the NCAA, the commissioners. But I don't know. So the NIL thing is, I would love for all of it to be in-house, right? I would love for all of the student athletes, for the school to have more oversight, more regulation, and all that. I don't think you can say a freshman can only make this much, a sophomore can make more, a junior can make more, or if you're in state and all that. I just think
I know, but there's a what I'm saying is that there's a level there that this is what the normal freshman made. Freshmen typically don't make as much as sophomores do. But now, if you are if you win the Heisman Trophy as a freshman, you're going to make more than any player on the team. You're still going to make a percentage of the money that you actually bring in, that you are desired as a spokesperson. But a percentage of those funds is going to go to the collective. And that collective is going to support your entire team as they supported you in the early years.
Yeah.
So I just think it gives the possibility of getting it out of the athletic department per se, because I think we're with these coaches trying to negotiate with players and we're going to pay you this amount of money. Oh, they're going to pay you that amount of money. Okay, we'll come up with it. That's not going to work. That's a failed system because it is literally free agency without any contracts, and there's no way that can survive. It has to be where they take their rights and they give their rights to an entity, to a separate entity, as opposed to everybody negotiating their rights individually. And that can be done, similarly to, as you say, in the record industry and so forth. One other thing, Greg, and I know this is out there a bit, but the meeting with at Florida State, where they are going to vote to take funds from the general fund and turn it over to the athletic department.
Yeah, I've got it. I've got it up on the screen. Yep.
Yeah, that had to be changed in their constitution, and they did that like about 3 months ago or so, I think. Do you recall? Yeah. Now, I'm just saying, I know that it could be for the build out of a stadium, but very possibly they could see an end in sight. Maybe there's negotiation going on between the ACC and Florida State, and they're seeing exactly how much it's going to cost, and they could be going to the Board of Governors saying it's going to cost. We've got a deal on the table for $120 million. Would you loan us $120 million so we don't have to go to a third party, investment banker? We've got the deal on the table to get out of here. That's a possibility.
Yeah, at some point, I don't think that's what's happening on the 24th. I don't think we're anywhere close to that, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
I'm probably wrong. I'm probably wrong on that one. But
I just don't. This could be a dry run, right? Right. This could be.
Well, yeah, they could be setting the money aside for it.
Yeah.
Because but I do think that the meeting at North Carolina is as I told you last week. I think that has a lot to do with posturing. Because the power that they're going to get is to prevent North Carolina from leaving is only based upon the financial proposal, and that's the only way they can prevent them from leaving the ACC or not approving that is based upon financial matters, and it has to do specifically with the University of North Carolina. The financial proposal deals with the University of North Carolina, not its effect on North Carolina State. So they would really have to, there'd be some fiduciary responsibilities that were not being followed if they turned down the opportunity for North Carolina to make 3 times as much money because they were concerned about North Carolina State. I don't see that happening.
Yep, you make a good point. We'll
okay.
We'll find out more Wednesday, I think. Right?
Hey, Greg, thank you for having me on. I greatly appreciate it, my friend.
You got it. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Great call.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
Soap. Great call. Great comments today. Thank you for the donations. We're going to be closing it up. I know we still have 230 people in the chat. I appreciate you all from coming on in. We had to do a live show tonight because it's going to be a very busy week. We did not want to get behind on all the stories that are going down, right? We had the ACC. Week 1, we went through the week 1 schedule. Big 12, going to be releasing it a week from tomorrow, their football schedule. We're going to be seeing the whole ACC schedule this Wednesday. We're also going to be seeing a Florida State meeting this Wednesday that we're going to be following. It sounds like a donation, a loan from the general fund, so to speak, to the Florida State Athletic Department. We're going to be keeping an eye on that. We have a meeting tomorrow. California Berkeley has an audit meeting for athletics at the Board of Regents. That's going to be public. We're going to be watching that story. We got the Board of Governors, a meeting on Wednesday in North Carolina. Going to try to get some power potentially when it comes to conference affiliation away from the institutions to the Board of Governors that oversees all 16 public universities in the state of North Carolina. We got Clemson. We still have crickets at Clemson. We've got this Pandora's box that is ripped open in college football. We went through a big article today from Simmons at On3, a great written article. If you missed it, go back early in our live show. There's so many things that need to be corrected in college football. There need to be guardrails set up. The players, the coaches, the compliance staffs, they can't even get Christmas off anymore. It's outrageous what's going on. So contracts, collective bargaining agreements, that is the answer. It's the only answer. And we've been saying that since episode 1, our manifesto episode at College Football's Peak Around the Corner. Student athletes, they need representation, and the game, the fans, the ones who love it, the ones who watch it, the ones who invest money in it, who invest resources in it. We love the history, the pageantry, the competition of college football, but it needs to be protected as well. And right now, it's a tinderbox ready to explode. Something's got to be done. And I think CBAs, contracts, student athletes becoming employees is the only answer. Again, tell me how wrong I am in the comments section below the video. Before you leave, please subscribe to our channel. Turn on your notifications as we're covering everything in college football. We could be coming on live within 30 minutes from now. We don't know. Nobody knows until next time. From all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.